This is the Cubs Postcast, your instant game reaction for the Chicago Cubs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Happy Saturday. Welcome into the Locked On Cubs Postcast here on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. Joe George, find me on all social media platforms at Joe George Radio, and the Cubs win 10-7 against the Seattle Mariners. Lots of offense, lots of opportunities for the defense in this game. Kind of a weird one, honestly, like when you look at everything that happened in this game, but it was a win nonetheless, and that's what matters for the Chicago Cubs. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. All right, lots to talk about in this game today. First things first, just real quick, hoping the best for Thornton, the pitcher from the Mariners, and the umpire. Hot one at Wrigley today. Scary stuff seeing that happen. So hopefully both those guys are both okay. Weird one in that regard for sure. Let's talk about what happened for the Cubs. Now, we're going to get right off. We're going to kick off today's show with our turning point of today's
time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
We're actually going to look at two of these. It's not one turning point. It's going to be two turning points today for the Cubs. We're not going to talk about the offense here. We're going to talk about the offense here in a second. Let's talk about what happened, though, from two pitching performances in this game that were very important for the reason why the Cubs did win. Let's go back here to the top of the second. So the win, this is one of the innings where the wind's causing crazy issues for the Cubs on defense. You had second and third with no outs. The ball drops right in front of Ian Happ. The win is just brutal for him. So it's first and third with no outs. So it's 2-1 Cubs there in the second inning. You get the ground to Brujan, who makes the decision to go home, which I think in a game like today, it's the right decision. There's going to be a lot of runs. You don't need the double play right then. So he throws it home. You get the runner in the pickle and get the second out of the inning, and then, or get the first out of the inning, and then you get a double play right up the middle to get out of it. Tommy Hotovy comes out there, meets with Cade Horton, calms him down. He's very frustrated, visibly frustrated after the ball drops in front of Happ. So is Ian Happ. So that one there is huge. The other one, though, the other turning point of this game, Brad Keller, top of the sixth inning here, back-to-back singles. So it's first and third with no outs and a very close ball game at that point. And Brad Keller comes in and he strikes out the side. When he comes in. Strikes out Julio Rodriguez, Cal Raleigh, who had his 30th home run of the season, and Polanco for the Mariners. That's huge. Like, that was such an impressive performance from him to come in there in a game in which 6 runs when you had it is not going to be enough. You're going to need a lot more than what you had. And for him to come in with first and third with no out and come out there and just 3 strikeouts in a row to end this thing was fantastic. That was a great performance by Brad Keller. And again, by Cade Horton in the second inning, who honestly, I come away still very impressed with his performance. We'll talk about the offense here in a second, but to deal with the conditions that he did, the wind's blowing out, you're having defensive plays that are unfortunate. Honestly, it's just the wind for the most part. Brujan obviously makes a good grab, but a very low throw that leads to an error. Charged on him, goes right underneath Michael Busch's glove. Nico Horner had a ton of great diving plays and was just missing the ball. Cade Horton battled through all of that. So I thought that, he came out there in his first game, his first real Wrigley Field experience as a starting pitcher where the wind's blowing out. And we saw it at the very start of this game with Ian Happ and Kyle Tucker. I thought Cade Horton was very solid in this game, managed the big situations well, needed to, honestly, in a big way. So all good stuff for the most part from Cade today. And again, Brad Keller, shout out to him. That was a fantastic performance there in the sixth inning to come in and get out of it in the way that he did. All right, let's transition here let's get to our Locked On Player of the Game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Locked On Player of the Game today, it's got to go to Ian Happ. 2 home runs on the day. Starts off with a leadoff homer in this one. I think my year is correct here. They showed it during the game. I apologize if I'm wrong. But I think it was the first time in back-to-back games a leadoff home run has happened from your leadoff hitter since Anthony Rizzo did it in 2017. Ian Happ does that today. Hits another home run, a big one there. Just in the second inning, a 3-run homer that makes it 6-1. Passes Kris Bryant on the all-time home run list for the Chicago Cubs. So Ian Happ, locked on player of the game for sure. The ball was flying out. He was taking advantage of him. Larry says Keller was the player of the game. Larry, I think that's fair. I'm going to go with Ian Happ here because of what he contributed offensively. But we know, like, we went for 2 turning points. I will accept that nomination and hand that one to Keller as well. Again, his performance there, those three strikeouts, massive. So Ian Happ, Keller, huge games in this one. But it didn't stop there. And that's why this game was fun. Like, we saw that game 4 was blowing out. I looked at the odds before, the over-under. Over-under was 12.5. Saw the video before with the flag blowing out to Wrigley Field or back out of Wrigley Field. The Ivy, the way the Ivy was blowing on the misplay by PCA, that, again, not his fault. Like, I'm not going to blame him for that one. That was a tough play. To see, like, the Ivy just, like, swoosh in the way that it did. What a wild day in the field for these guys. But Ian Happ, 2 home runs. His first one was followed up by Kyle Tucker. I know a lot of Cubs fans were excited to see that one. So Ian Happ hits the homer there, followed by Kyle Tucker. It's 2-0 out of the gate. And then you get a Nico Horner ground out in the bottom of the second that made it 3-1. That Ian Happ home run that made it 6-1. Then in the bottom of the third, Michael Busch comes out. In an inning that started off kind of interesting. Like, we're seeing PCA a little frustrated with himself at the plate. You can see it. He wears it on his expressions on not just his face, his entire body. Hits that blooper out to left field that turns into a double. Dansby Swanson walks, and Michael Busch crushes a 3-run home run of his own to make it 9-1. And then PCA, I'm sure he felt like he needed that one again, hits the home run there in the bottom of the 5th, an absolute laser beam to right field. And all of a sudden, it is 10-1, and the Cubs have 10-6, sorry, and the Cubs. That was basically the final score before Cal Raleigh came up there, hit another home run. That guy, a 30 home run season already on the year, June 21st. That's absolutely insane. I think they showed it too at the beginning of the game that Raleigh hit his 28th and 29th home run on the same day that Sammy Sosa did a bunch of years ago, or back, like, which is crazy. But don't pitch to that guy on Sunday, please. No matter what the win conditions are, trying to win this series, don't pitch it to Cal Raleigh on Sunday. Don't need to see that. And yes, as Chad says here in the chat, sell the farm to bring Raleigh over to the Cubs. I don't know if I'm selling the farm, but look, it's not just the home runs. He won the Platinum Glove last year. That's the best defender in the American League last year. I would love to see him be nothing against Miguel Amaya, who we're still waiting news on, and we'll have some positive updates tomorrow, but on or later in the show about what happened from the Cubs camp, some positive, some negative. But yeah, it's I'd love to see that guy be a member of the show. Mark says a 0 way he plays tomorrow. Assume he's talking about Cal Raleigh there. Probably true with how hot it was. They interviewed Carson Kelly before the game. He said he loses like 4 pounds a game during these heat days at Wrigley Field or just anywhere in baseball. It's just crazy to think when a catcher goes through in a game, but all good things from the Cubs in this one. So we will talk more about what we saw from this game, just the offensive spark we saw, all that stuff still, plus your reaction and comments live here on YouTube, or if you're listening to the audio version of the show on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, you can send them to me at Joe George Radio on any social media platform. That's all coming up next here on the Locked on Cubs postcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Wonderful Pistachios. If you're looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios was one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to helping keeping you feeling fuller longer. I'm going to take one out of our friend Sam's playbook here. Look at this. Wonderful Pistachios. Right here. Roasted. Salted. Right here. Little mini packs. That's my go-to at our house. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. Well, especially there's one game left in the season. So if you want to get on the NBA action, unless you're looking towards the draft, which obviously Bulls fans, that's what we're kind of looking forward to at this point, right now is the time to do it. I'm going to roll with the Oklahoma City Thunder. No, just kidding. I'm rolling with the Indiana Pacers. Plus 7.5 in this one. And straight up, I believe in Tyrese Halliburton and this team. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, your questions and comments welcome here in the chat live on YouTube. Let's talk about very quickly before we get back into the game what we found out before the game. Cabrera was DFA'd by the Chicago Cubs. We talked about this on yesterday's postcast show. Felt like it was needed. I think right now we're 2 for 2 on begging for someone to get moved on from. First, I think it was Merriweather, and then now Cabrera, and the Cubs seem to follow suit. So thank goodness. So Cabrera DFA'd, Nate Pearson coming up, who's been pretty good in the minors of recent. So that's the corresponding move for the Cubs. And we saw the results for Shota Imanaga in Iowa. Very, very good. He will be back with the Cubs and pitching for them against the St. Louis Cardinals in this upcoming series. The only negative one is Porter Hodge. Porter Hodge only got 1 out, faced 8 batters, gave up 7 earned runs. So Craig Counsell said before the game, he told the media that they are going to leave him down in the minors, maybe for one more appearance, just to kind of get back on track and get him back up to the bigs. But Shota back soon, next week, early next week, and maybe Porter Hodge wait right around the corner. All right, back to this game. There is a wild comment I am ignoring in the chat about Pete Crow-Armstrong right now. One thing here, the umpires today, real quick. I know the one umpire had to leave the game. He was calling the balls and strikes behind the plate. Was not good for either team. Egregious calls, some of them. Cade Horton also, I thought, handled that very well. Something a young pitcher, I think that's something important to keep an eye on for me. Like, we see veteran pitchers get flustered when calls are not going their way. We see hitters get flustered when calls are not going their way. But, being able to see, him handle that early in the game, I thought was very important for Cade. Just another step in his process. Again, the strikeout numbers, they're not there. But the walk numbers, he had 2 walks today, but it seems like he's just traded strikeouts and walks. I don't know if that's something the Cubs saw in the minors, that they felt like his walk numbers were high because he was going for strikeouts and not just for going for outs. But it feels like they must have made something behind the scenes that we don't quite know about yet. Some kind of adjustment to where, it's don't try to strike everybody out like you were trying to do in the minors because it means you're walking too many guys. So the walks are down, the strikeouts are down, but Cade is still, unfortunate kind of surroundings around him today, but only charged with, 3 earned runs of the 6 that happened while he was on the mound for 4 2/3 of the game today. A couple other things from this one. We saw Dansby Swanson go 1 for 3 in this one. Great diving catch by him. Shout out to him. That was a great play on the day. Ian Happ, who also obviously, missed that one wind ball that dropped right in front of them there in the second inning. Also a great diving play today. So while there were some tough days, some tough plays because of the wind and the conditions at Wrigley Field, we also did see some excellent defensive plays from Dansby and Ian Happ. OK says here in the chat, Cubs got to win the series tomorrow. Yes, absolutely. This is a big win to get tomorrow. Not much fight happening right now with the Minnesota Twins. They got rocked today by the Milwaukee Brewers. I think it was like 9-0 was the final score of that game. So he does not get a lot of help at that point. The Cardinals also won in 11. So, by losing a couple games here and there, it's got the division at least getting a little tighter. But obviously not of concern yet. But got to get the win tomorrow. This is a good Mariners team. They're not a great team. They're a good baseball team. So getting a series win before you start off against the Cardinals and then play the Astros would be very, very important for me. Let's talk real quickly about Kyle Tucker. Now, look, I, again, am not one to panic about a player like that. Just was nice to see the home run, though. It was refreshing to see the ball leave the yard from Kyle Tucker there, and a walk today. So continues to just get on base. His on-base percentage is .395, by far the highest on the Cubs right now. But also real quickly here, got to hit on Michael Busch. Michael Busch he's raking right now. Kind of feels like he is, kind of like the not talked about guy, I would say, with the Cubs, with all the young players and players you expect to be very, very good on this team, like Kyle Tucker, like Ian Happ and Suzuki and now PCA. Feel like Michael Busch is kind of like gets like pushed down a little bit in terms of the excitement level for him. Not for me. I love watching Michael Busch play. Obviously, the big 3 hits in yesterday's game, and then he comes out today with another 1-for-3 performance, obviously with the home run, but with the RBI. But also another good defensive play. He just is, that stab he had where like he's on his knees, just like reaches up and grabs the ball. Man, he makes very sometimes very challenging plays look very easy. Now, he did have the one that gets underneath his glove for Brujan. He had another one that was a great play by Dansby Swanson that he drops. But Michael Busch continues to swing the bat very, very well of recent, which I think is super important. So, look, Seiya Suzuki is really the only guy right now that I think we look at a little bit, and you're like, it's not looking great at the plate. 0 for 5 with 2 strikeouts. And yeah, as Chad says here in the chat with Michael Busch, they showed this graphic during the game. Michael Busch is top 7 in OPS among first basemen since last year. That's awesome. That's a very talented position across the league right now. So he continues to, just improve on a regular basis. And as Eric says, he's a sophomore. He's just developing. So I'm excited. He's one of the players, again, I just feel like is underappreciated right now with the Cubs. And I'm very excited to see what his ceiling can continue to be for this team. And again, it just makes the lineup that much deeper. The big thing for Michael Busch is I want to see him against lefties and probably want to see him flip with if you can find a way to make it work without going lefty, I'd like to see him still flip with Dansby at some point, even though Dansby with a good hit today in this one. All right. That will do it for this episode of the Locked On Cubs postcast. You can find me on all social media platforms at Joe George Radio. We'll be back tomorrow as well for hopefully the Cubs winning this series against the Seattle Mariners. Quickly here from the chat, O'Reilly says Matt Shaw in tomorrow. Yes, he's been reeling. He got an off day today. Makes a lot of sense. Brujan's not great though. I just get Matt Shaw back out there. Gave him the day off. Put Matt Shaw back in tomorrow at third base. All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks for watching. We'll be back tomorrow here on the Locked On Cubs YouTube channel. Remember to hit that subscribe button to the channel as well. Wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, you can find my shows and Matt and Sam's shows there as well. See you tomorrow. Peace.